I like to think that I really read a lot of oil and gas books, and as a person who has been involved and has a lot of interest in the upstream oil and gas industry, I have always wondered, is reading oil and gas books really worth it? Can it be good for you, or is it just a big waste of time and money? And this might be something that you are also wondering about, especially if you're interested in learning how the oil and gas industry works, or if you are interested in getting involved in the oil and gas value chain. And this might be for your career or for your business. And if that's the case, you have probably been advised or you have heard that you should actually read some of the oil and gas books that are available in the market today. And that's why in this particular video, I'm going to share with you 5 ideas or 5 reasons why I believe that reading oil and gas books is actually worth it. The first reason why reading oil and gas books is worth it is that you're going to get deeper knowledge about the subject that you're going to be focusing on. And this is because oil and gas books cover subjects in a far deeper and greater way than you would get when reading an oil and gas blog, social media posts, or actually other articles that have been written about that particular subject. You're going to get deeper explanations into topics such as upstream, downstream, midstream, oil and gas economics, crude oil pricing, and gas or LNG, among very many other topics. And this kind of knowledge is actually very important because it provides you with a strong foundation in helping you to not only know about that particular industry or about that particular topic that you are reading, but also understanding why that particular thing is happening. Reading oil and gas books goes beyond the sensational headlines that you might read about a particular subject, about a particular oil and gas activity, and helps you to understand in a deeper way what is actually going on within the oil and gas value chain. And this is actually very important if you're actually interested in investing in the oil and gas industry, or doing business or getting involved in doing business in the oil and gas value chain. It is always argued that you should only invest in things that you fully understand. And reading oil and gas books provides you with the first step towards understanding the oil and gas industry or how the oil and gas value chain works. The second reason why reading oil and gas books is worth it is that you're going to get insights from experienced professionals. And this comes from the fact that most oil and gas books are actually written by oil and gas experts or professionals or people who have been in the industry and have a lot of experience with what they are talking about. And here I'm talking about books that have been written by such professionals as oil and gas engineers, geologists, and geophysicists, among very many others. You may also be able to get books from oil and gas investors and business leaders who have invested or have participated in the oil and gas industry for quite a while and who have built successful businesses within the oil and gas value chain. When you read such books, you're actually going to get lessons that they have learned, real-world case studies, and also practical frameworks that you may not be able to get elsewhere. And this is because they are speaking from a point of actually having been involved in some of the things that you're actually reading on in the books that they have written. And the case applies to the entrepreneurs or business people in the oil and gas industry who have gone ahead and written their oil and gas books. This is because if you are actually an entrepreneur or if you want to do business in the oil and gas industry, reading such books or getting such insights is actually very important because it can help you to make smarter decisions and also probably avoid some of the investment mistakes that they had made or that you would want not to repeat as you invest in the oil and gas industry. The third reason why reading oil and gas books is worth it to me is that you increase your competitive edge in the oil and gas business or when it comes to your oil and gas career. And this stems from the fact that very many people are actually not reading books, and they are particularly not reading oil and gas books, which means if you take the time and invest either your money and time in reading oil and gas books, you're actually going to be among the top 1 or the top 10% of the people within the oil and gas industry. You're going to have a competitive edge because you are going to be informed and you are going to have insight that probably a lot of other people or colleagues within your line of business or within your line of career or professional undertakings have actually not gotten. And this is because they do not read books. So you should invest in reading oil and gas books, as that makes you a better person, a better business person, and also gives you an advantage when it comes to your oil and gas activities. And I want you to actually think about it. When you stay informed, or when you have information about a particular subject in the oil and gas industry, whether that's about doing or oil and gas deals, bidding for oil and gas projects, qualifying or becoming a supplier within the upstream oil and gas value chain, or even when it comes to trading crude oil or natural gas or LNG, you actually get an advantage when you have that information, when you are well informed and when you understand what is exactly going on. When you read books that cover such topics as petroleum economics, energy policy, crude oil trading, LNG trading, among others, you actually get an advantage. They equip you with knowledge and information that can help you to be able to actually spot trends in the market as well as tap into the emerging opportunities within the oil and gas value chain. And what I'm trying to actually persuade you here is that you should not ignore reading oil and gas books. You should spend time and also invest your money in buying oil and gas books that align with your oil and gas business or professional career. The fourth reason why reading oil and gas books is worth it is that it's a cost-effective form of education. And this is because when you compare it to such things as oil and gas seminars, oil and gas workshops, attending oil and gas executive programs, reading oil and gas books is incredibly affordable. And for a price of dinner, you can actually get access to information that would cost you thousands of dollars to access. And I also want you to think of even the new forms of reading when it comes to such things as online education, reading things on the internet, because you can actually be able to continue improving your knowledge of the oil and gas industry by reading oil and gas ebooks, accessing or attending oil and gas online courses, which actually provide you with an opportunity to still continue getting information and knowledge at an affordable price. The most interesting aspect in today's world is that you can actually be able to read oil and gas books on the internet. You can even listen to the audio version of those oil and gas books. And this is because you have such platforms as Audible that provides you with access to millions or thousands of oil and gas books. The fifth reason why reading oil and gas books is worth it is because you can actually be able to build your thought leadership in the industry. And this is very important, especially if you want to provide goods or services to the industry. When you read oil and gas books, you actually become knowledgeable about the topical issues that are going on in the industry, or you become very good at the subject that you are focusing on. That is going to help you when it comes to engaging in the oil and gas industry and with other people across the oil and gas value chain. You become a person who can hold good and actually informed conversations with other people across the oil and gas industry. And if you are a business person, whether you are a coach, whether you are a consultant or a content creator in the oil and gas industry, Reading oil and gas books makes you a better person. It gives you an edge. Reading oil and gas books helps you to articulate the issues within the oil and gas sector with authority, which actually ends up building your credibility and thus increasing or positioning you as a thought leader in the oil and gas value chain. And this is very important, especially if you are a business person or an entrepreneur, because you can actually leverage your authority in the industry to be able to generate more business revenues, because you can be able to actually generate more business leads, enabling you to be able to sell more products or services that you provide, which is why you should actually consider becoming a content creator in the oil and gas industry, meaning consider creating written form of content, video form of content like videos on YouTube, or even becoming a podcaster or creating podcasts related to the oil and gas industry. All these things actually end up to your authority in the oil and gas industry, and you become a good content creator if you actually spend time reading oil and gas books. And I want you to check the description below for 2 videos on why you should actually start an oil and gas blog, or why you should start an oil and gas YouTube channel. In an evolving industry like oil and gas, having information and knowledge is power, and reading oil and gas books is one of the best ways for you to actually stay informed, get inspired, as well as staying ahead of the curve. And while not all oil and gas books are going to be a game changer for you, one insight or one idea from reading an oil and gas book can actually shift or change the way you approach your oil and gas career, your oil and gas business, as well as the oil and gas investments that you are making. And if you would like to know which books to read, start by watching the video on your screen right now. There's a video with some of the oil and gas books that I would recommend you start with. And I'll also leave a link of that video in the description below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my future videos.